No, and like half of this is just that the trucking market overall is in a really rough place.
Why is that? What's the explanation for just a tough trucking market? Is it still overhang from the supply chain crisis from the pandemic?
Yeah. I think there's two things. The first is that just industrial production overall in the U.S. Is quite sluggish. Like everybody's uncertain because of things like tariffs and the economy.
Yep.
And retailers are still they're generally cautious about consumer demand. So these are all things that are impacting the trucking demand. And then on the supply side, you still had a lot of trucking companies that added a lot of capacity in 2022 because of the trucking shortages. And so, when there's a lot of supply and weak demand, then pricing goes down. And that's kind of what you're seeing. And because TFI, TForce Freight, is a higher cost provider, they are, I think they gave a variety of reasons specifically why they're performing poorly. But the reality is that they're a smaller player, and the smaller player is going to get hurt more in bad times. And so that's what's happening.
So it's a tough freight market for all.
Yeah.
It's not like TFI reported bad earnings and all of its peers reported terrific earnings.
Right.
It's just TFI's earnings were a lot worse
Yep.
than a lot of the other. Now, it's not like TFI lost money. It's still an extremely profitable company. The earnings unto themselves on an absolute basis looked pretty good.
I mean, yeah, sure.
Fine. It's like okay, stock doesn't go down 18%. Shouldn't go down 18% on a very profitable quarter, especially a quarter where you generated an enormous amount of free cash flow. So we just have to hope for better times ahead. But clearly, it's the two sticking points are the macro sucks. Just the freight industry is tough, and that's going to take time to right itself. And specific issues that TFI had given to their business or operations. I think they also had higher accident costs this quarter.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Claims. Yeah.
claims.
Yeah.
So maybe due to bad weather or just poor drivers, these things can happen from time to time. So given how bad the stock has moved, what's the reasons to be positive going forward? Because we always want to talk about the positives.
Well, I think there's good reason to think that eventually, well, first of all, the trucking market is going to get better at some point. The trucking cycle, it goes through these ups and downs over time. And what happens is that in bad times, capacity leaves the market, and then demand eventually picks up, and then rates go up, right? So that will eventually come back.